Today we're reviewing Clank in Space by Direwolf Digital and Renegade Game Studios. I'm Mark Maya. Welcome to Board Game Coffee. Before we commence, I'd like to remind you all about subscribing to our channel. It's the best way to stay up to date with everything we do here at Board Game Coffee. And if you're already a subscriber, welcome back. In space, no one can hear you clank. Except for this guy. And if he does, oh man, you're in trouble. Clank in Space is a 2 to 4 player dungeon crawling. It's 2 to 4 player spaceship crawling competitive deck builder. Actually, with the help of this free app, you can play Clank in Space solo. So I guess that makes it a 1 to 4 player dungeon crawling
Clank!
spaceship crawling competitive deck builder. Alright, I want to say this right up front. Clank in Space isn't anything new. Well, I guess it isn't anything too new. It's a sequel to Clank, a dungeon crawling competitive deck builder. Now, I loved Clank when I got it way back in 2016, although I didn't know what I was getting into. I've never even heard of the game before. While I perused the wares of my favorite brick-and-mortar gaming store, there it was, sitting up on the shelf with its cool box art, beckoning me to buy it. So I took it off the shelf, walked it over to the counter, and asked the girl behind the cash, "What's a Clank?" She responded with, can you guess?
It's a dungeon crawling competitive deck builder.
Exactly! So I took it home, played it right away, and I loved it. So when I heard about Clank in Space, obviously I had to have it. But what exactly is Clank in Space? It's a 2 to 4 player spaceship crawling...
We get it!
Yeah. If you've ever played a deck builder, then you already understand how half this game works. Players start off with 10 basic cards and use those basic cards to buy more cards to improve their deck. These cards do things like, well, like I said, they provide skill points to help you buy other cards, generate an attack to help you beat nasty space thingies. Lots of them even have special abilities that let you do all kinds of cool stuff. And others give you these boot symbols to help you move around the board. And that's it. That's the Clank difference. You see, unlike other deck builders, Clank actually has a board and little meeples that you move around from room to room, stealing whatever you can get your thieving little hands on. And you do all of this not with dice or a collection of actions, but with the cards you play from the deck you built. And it works great! The Clank games all have a common goal. They're all about entering places you don't belong, stealing a bunch of stuff, and then getting the hell out of there with more points than the other guy. And you need to do all of that as quietly as possible.
Sorry.
And that's where the Clank comes in. As you tiptoe through the cavernous corridors of this massive alien ship, you're bound to make some noise. Shh! When any player makes noise, either due to a card they've played or a card someone else has played, they place a Clank token here, representing how much noise they've made. Now, as long as these cubes remain here in this space, you're fine. Technically, you could stay there forever and even practice your rendition of 3 Blind Mice on your Vuvuzela and be perfectly safe. But space is a dangerous place. It's full of things that'll just ruin your day. But there's a lot of cool stuff to buy. See these 2 rows of cards here? This is where you're going to buy cards to improve your deck. And as you do that, you make room for new cards to take their place. Some good, some not so good. You see, inevitably, when a character shows up with a picture of Lord Eradicus in his wallet, they're gonna run off and alert him of your presence on his ship. Kinda like a spoiled prep school child running up to the headmaster to tattle that the cool kids are having too much fun.
Lord Radicus, the cool kids are playing in the hall again.
Anyway, when old Lordo hears that you're aboard his ship, he's gonna come looking for you, and that's not good. When this happens, take all the Clank you've made thus far and stick it in this menacing-looking velvet sack. Great embroidery work, by the way. Then proceed to give the bag a shake. And then pull out a number of cubes based on Lord Eradicus's position on the rage track. You then proceed to take damage for every cube of your color that was pulled out of the bag. So the more noise you make, the more chances you have of being caught. Or bit, or get your feelings hurt. It's not actually clear what he does. Now, if you've already played the original Clank, you've experienced most of what Clank in Space has to offer. I mean, it is different, but it's not that different. But, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, everything you loved from the original Clank is still here, with a few extras thrown in to add a little touch of complexity. Clank in Space is to Clank what King of New York was to King of Tokyo. Some of the key differences in Clank in Space are a modular board that offers more variety than the original Clank's two-sided board, teleporters and hyperlifts located around the ship to help you get around faster, a security system that needs hacking in order for you to access the area that has the artifacts you need, faction cards that trigger when you play them alongside other cards from the same faction, items like these crystals which also trigger special abilities on cards, and a smaller safe zone that players need to reach before Lord Eradicus knocks them out. Or does whatever it is he does that causes everyone so much harm. Really bad massage, maybe? Ow. 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 Okay, I'm good. I'm good. I want to be completely clear. I'm in support of all these changes. They offer up something new to an already fantastic game. So I guess if you look at it that way, I guess I like Clank in Space better. But for some reason, the excitement just isn't the same as it was the first time around. And I think it's because I've already played this game before. Sure, not this one exactly, but close enough. It suffers from a bit of, been there, done that. But it was awesome. Just not as awesome. Again, it's like watching the original Star Wars and then watching the 1997 re-release with all that new CGI. If you saw that first, you'd be blown away. But you didn't see that first, did you? Clank in Space, well, all the Clanks really, offer a great fun challenge for competitive players. And it does a good job of keeping things balanced, even when you think they're not. I've been trapped on the far end of the ship struggling to get my hand on an artifact so I can get my ass out of there in one piece, while everyone else was already at the cargo bay, artifacts in hand, waiting for their Uber. But somehow I managed to sprint across the ship, avoiding death from every pull of the bag, just to get knocked out outside the doors of my escape pod. But you know who won? This guy. When the going got tough, I played my little heart out, collecting as many points as I could. And I won. Pays to be persistent, kids. Stay in school. But I'll admit, luck did play a part in my victory. You see, I was and wasn't trying to win. Let me explain. At any point during a game of Clank, if I get even an inkling that I'm going to lose, I go into a state of, if I'm going down, I'm taking all you f***ers down with me. At which point, I will do my darndest to trigger as many Lord Eradicus attacks as I possibly can. And I mean it when I say I'll take everyone down, me included. But there is a part of me, and maybe it's in you too. There's this glimmer of hope that even though I myself am holding the torch to the kindling, that maybe, just maybe, I can win this. If this was a James Cameron movie, I'd be the guy pickpocketing the evacuees on the Titanic. Ever the vengeful optimist. Now, before we wrap this up, I can't end this review without mentioning how awesome the cards in this game are. These cards have some of the best spoofs of my favorite sci-fi characters that I've ever seen. And it's one of the few games that I actually enjoy reading the fluff text. So, what's my final verdict? As much as I like Clank in Space, I'm starting to get a little clanked out. But to be fair, that's only because I played the original as often as I did. And I only played that so much because I liked it so much. And the fact that I keep coming back to the series has got to stand for something. But to be completely honest, if you weren't a fan of the original Clank, Clank in Space doesn't really offer enough new gameplay to change your mind. But if you are a fan of the original and you're looking for more, then I would definitely give Clank in Space a try. And if you're new to the series and you don't already own a Clank game, then I would absolutely 100% recommend Clank in Space. But be warned, if you already own the original, Clank in Space might make it obsolete. Because although I do like the original, I don't see much point in pulling it out over the newer, shinier version. Unless, of course, it's to play the new Mummy expansion, or the Sunken Treasure expansion. I haven't played that one yet either. Maybe there is some life left in the original Clank after all. Alright, that's it. If you liked this video and you want to see more, subscribe here. We put out new content every week. If you want to see more right now, click here. And if that's not enough, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I'm Mark Maya, and this is Board Game Coffee. And remember, have fun, keep gaming, be social. See you next week.